somebody said something, I could feel regret. I could feel regret. Pretty heavy, honestly. Kind of got like wide-eyed a little bit and said, "That's so awesome. I wish I would have gotten into photography." I felt that. I think we all have had that moment of regret. I wish I would have started sooner. And time doesn't stop. It just keeps going in one direction. First thing I said was, "It's not too late." It's not too late. It really isn't. And it really isn't too late. It isn't too late for her. It isn't too late for me. It isn't too late for whoever's watching. When I gave her the camera and said, "Have fun with it," and she's like, "Oh, I'm scared. I'm going to break it." And that's her words. And I literally said, "You're not going to break it. Have fun with it." And in my head, or like when I turn around, if it's a sitcom, you're going to see me go like, like, "Hey, please don't drop it. Please don't drop that camera." What's up, buddy? You coming up here? Yeah, of course. Oh, I got a towel. I got a towel because it's wet out here. It's been raining, and she used a towel for a second. Now she's using me. What are you doing? I'm trying to film a video here. Dog hair all over the dead cat. You would love if there's a cat here, huh? I came out here and it was nice and cool. And as I set up the camera, it's starting to get pretty muggy out here now. Overcast day. It's like 80 something degrees or whatever. No breeze. Maybe a little bit of a breeze. Very little bit. Might be able to see it in the trees behind me. But I want to tell you a story about Father's Day that happened a couple weekends ago, and how somebody said something. I could feel regret. It's pretty heavy, honestly, from where I am, how I feel about photography, my age, all that stuff. So to fast forward and get into it, my wife's family came over, had a cookout and all that stuff for Father's Day. And fast forward everything. I always tell a short story long. I happened to show my mother-in-law some pictures of the dog, of Fallon, that I took, and she was like, "Oh, those are really cool pictures. Did you use your cell phone?" And I said, she doesn't know anything that I'm into photography, and I said, "No, I actually," once again, short story. My buddy gave me a camera about a year ago, and I've been messing with the camera and getting into photography, and I kind of left it at that. And instantly, like, she, kind of got like wide-eyed a little bit and said, "That's so awesome. I wish I would have gotten into photography." And I can't tell you, like, well, I can try to at least try to articulate it right, but like the regret I could feel, and like I felt it, and it was sad to hear, and at the same time, it's like I had all these things. It was weird. It was like time froze for a second, and I went through this whole like this thought process, like within like a split second. And I tell you all this because I'll tell you what I said right after, but I felt that. I think we all have had that moment of regret, whether it's photography and not necessarily anything negative, but just kind of like, I wish I started sooner. And I'll get into that in a second, but I went through this, I'm in my 40s now, and me picking up the camera now and getting into it, I wish I would have started sooner. Like, we've all felt that, whether it's, like I was mentioning, I don't want to dive too much into it now, but the photography or videography on this channel, or it's, playing the guitar, learning a second language. There's so many things that switching jobs, careers, professions, going to school, going back to school, that I wish I would have started sooner. And time doesn't stop. It just keeps going in one direction. And every day that you don't, this is all within that second. It was crazy. All this like feelings and emotion that you can kind of garner in that time. And I was just thinking, time moves one way. It's on a movie. There's no time travel, and there's no back in time. And all these people say, the best time to start was 10 years ago, or whatever we want to say. Some people say yesterday, and the next best time is now. It's today. It's whatever right now. And that's exactly it. So the thing I said immediately after all that, crossed my mind, and it was like, it seems like as I'm telling the story, a minute passed, or a minute and a half, or whatever, 2 minutes knowing me, all that time passed, and first thing I said was, "It's not too late." It's not too late. It really isn't. Here I am, in my 40s, starting photography, and she's in her 60s, and it really isn't too late. It isn't too late for her. It isn't too late for me. It isn't too late for whoever's watching. If anybody's out there watching, it's not too late. And I would argue that me 10 years ago, getting into photography, or YouTube in general, 10 years ago I wouldn't have the experience I have, the somewhat maturity level that I have now. A whole different channel, a whole different mindset. Yeah, I might have been, I'm sure obviously I would have been further ahead in my skill and my craft, but realistically I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. She's not the same person she was 40 years ago. So she's 29. Yeah, all women are 29. But it was interesting to I got my earbuds in. I don't know why. I just realized I got a text, and I realized I have my earbuds in still. Anyway, where was I? So it hit me, and I replied back like immediately, and it's some of the stuff that's been told to me by my buddy Patrick, who gifted me the camera, the Nikon. There you go. It's always on camera, off camera. There it is, the Nikon D5600, and how much fun I've had with that in the last year. If I didn't have the camera, I might be researching cameras still, and not have anything, not have a YouTube channel, and more importantly, not have press the shutter. Everything would have been on my cell phone still. Am I thinking about photography still? Did it come and go? There's a scenario where I don't have the camera, I don't have the Nikon, and I never get into photography. I think about it, but I keep doing what I'm doing with action cameras. So it was definitely interesting, and sad at the same time. So that the first thing I said was, after all that, it's not too late. It's not too late until it is. I didn't tell her that, but I mean, realistically, like until your last dying day, like, you can start anything. It doesn't have to be photography. So the next thing I said, hang on, and I went and got the Nikon, and I said, here, have fun. It's an auto. I explained a couple settings. I explained very little bit about how the camera works. As far as the zoom, like that's the focus was an auto. The camera itself was an auto. It was JPEG. I put it in JPEG. I didn't put it in RAW, so she could see. And I think the screen actually shows JPEG, or maybe not. I'm not really sure. But as far as the color of the image and stuff like that, when you preview it, I can shoot JPEG and RAW at the same time. It's an older camera. I'm sure everybody can nowadays, but that's one of the features that it has. And I just put it in JPEG mode so she could see it. There's no color correcting or color grading needed, and I explained some stuff afterwards, but I just let her take pictures. And it's so funny, you put a camera in somebody's hand that has no experience whatsoever with photography, and truth be told, we all do to some point. We've all taken pictures. My dad, I go back, when we were kids, he used to film birthdays and Christmas and stuff on a tripod, big tripod. And no SD cards. It was all VHS tape that would just record, right? It's the size of my camera. And it would record right on the VHS tape. Those who don't know, you had a VCR, put the VHS tape in there, and you could watch it instantly. There was no color correcting, color grading. CDs came around, or DVDs came around. That was like innovation, and people being able to burn DVDs and stuff was amazing. But I digress. Typical. And the funny thing was, she was around here, the backyard. She was taking pictures of Fallon. She's taking pictures of some plants that my wife has back here. Taking pictures of trees in the distance. Then I started to show her some stuff like, hey, take a picture of that, and I was very lightly teaching her about photography, or at least what I know. Probably teaching her wrong, but you could tell she was having fun. And I've got a couple images that I took, or some snaps I took from the kitchen window, and I may put them in here. But for probably 15 or 20 minutes, she was walking around with the camera, and we had already eaten, and everything was somewhat winding down, so she was able to kind of just do her thing. And I bet you for that 20 minutes, without asking her, that 20 minutes, I venture to say she enjoyed it. I enjoyed passing it along as my buddy Patrick passed the photography bug to me. And I think it's interesting. I don't know if anybody needs to hear this, but it's not too late. It's one of those things, like, everybody knows you've gone your whole life, whether it's drawing. If somebody gives you a pencil and says draw the ship, okay, I know how to draw a cool ship. I really my dad taught me how to draw a ship, so that's the first thing that came to me. That and a bomber, a B-52. I'll draw a B-52 for you. But draw something or paint something or whatever. And everybody knows how to paint. Everybody knows how to draw. Everybody knows how to take a picture. But until you learn, like, the craft and really refine and hone in and garner some skill and an eye and a knack for it, everybody can take a picture, right? But it's finding the right composition. And I say right for you, training your eye. It was fun. It was fun watching and then going through, and she didn't show me any pictures, but obviously they're saved to the card. And I went back and looked at all the ones that she took, and they were good. They were, I know it's an auto and all that stuff. It's not about that. It's not about critiquing. It's about how many times she took a picture. She didn't take 2 pictures and then stop. She didn't press the shutter twice and stop. Showed her how to focus, use an autofocus, half press the shutter and then press it all the way down and hold it still as best you can, and started going over some stuff, taking pictures of the fan in motion and showing her about shutter speed and how you can get that image pause in time, and or if you wanted motion blur, and kind of just went into a little bit, not a lot, just enough where I could tell. And she said that she couldn't learn this, she said, and I argued, yes, you can, absolutely you can. There's so many tools, and I say tools, so you don't have to go to school for photography. You can learn so much on YouTube. Excuse me, on YouTube University, right? So it's out there. Oh, I felt that wind. That's good. That's real nice. Very nice. I'm like sweating. I got a bet with somebody that I'm going to keep my hair growing out all through July. It's not even July yet. It's June 29th. I normally have a buzz cut, a short buzz cut. And here I am. Anyway, I digress. One of the things that was funny was, and I'm the same way with my buddy's camera. He's got a D850, a Nikon D850, and he says, like, he wants me to take pictures of it with it, using it, and take pictures. And now I have so much more faith in knowing how to take pictures, and with the exposure triangle and stuff. But I was so nervous in the beginning. And it's funny, like, I watch him, like, change his lens, and it's like, I'm worried about the sensor. I'm worried about the lens getting, dust on it, or dirt or water or blemish or something like that, or the sensor itself. And he's like switching it and holding it and switching it back and like barely holding it. And I guess you can kind of equate it to, like, the first kid you have, first dog I had. I'm babying that dog and all that other stuff, and the second dog or second kid comes around, I'm like, oh, that kid can take it. That kid's bulletproof, And the same thing is about cameras. How I change my lens now, like holding the camera like this with 2 fingers, I would never have done that. Now I feel more comfortable. I can talk with the camera. I can move the camera. I can turn it around and show you some settings and whatever, and you just get more comfortable, and you realize that you're not going to break it. But all that being said, when I gave her the camera and said, have fun with it, and she's like, oh, I'm scared I'm going to break it. And that's her words. And I literally said, you're not going to break it. Have fun with it. And in my head, or like when I turn around, if it's a sitcom, you're going to see me go like, like, hey, please don't drop it. Please don't drop that camera. I need that. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I imagine my buddy, Patrick, when I show him the pictures and stuff and what I'm doing and telling him the stories and stuff like that, and some adventures I've had, or if I take a picture of this setup, I feel like I see him smile when I tell him in person, but I got some of that back. Seeing some of the gift of photography, passing it on. It may not have been tangible as in a gift, a permanent gift, but in the moment, of course, it was tangible. I gave her the camera to use, and she ran with it for 20 minutes, had fun, asked some questions, and You know, I asked her a couple more days had passed. I take some pictures of Fallon, which I might put here. I don't think I put it on the other video. Voice cracked. 40 years old, going through puberty, right? But 41 actually. But either way, I sent her some pictures, and I just was joking, like, have you taken any pictures? Or did you find your camera? That was the other thing. She didn't know where her camera was. She said she thought it was in a box, and she said no. But I did show her, and if you don't have a camera, if you stumble across this video, you know, you can put your cell phone in pro mode, watch some videos, learn how to, that was like perfect placement, right on the lens. Oh, dude, don't. It's a horsefly? It's a horsefly. Just stay right there. It's literally right on my camera. Just don't move. Stay right there. All right, I'm not going to move either. It's starting to get hot and sweaty. It's easy to compare yourself, and I think I think it's human nature that, you know, we find people online, and there's a reason why when you open up the YouTube page or Instagram, and you're flooded with these magnificent photos and magnificent videos and edits or paintings, you know, or short stories or movies and stuff. Like, they are the best of the best according to an audience, right? So they're going to be placed in front of you based on popularity. That's what social media is going to show. It's going to want to keep you on the platform. YouTube's no different. YouTube is it's no different to a degree, but I love YouTube and I hate all the other ones, honestly. That's a different story, different day. But those people have been learning their craft and refining their craft for what seems like a lifetime to them. There's people that, you know, there's kids that ride dirt bikes, you know, so they're fantastic motorcycle riders, you know, in their teens, in their 20s and 30s. There's people that, you know, started drawing at a young age, whether they had the knack, they just had a natural talent that they refined, or they just learned through education, through trial and error, and that's all this is. So it was fun to see kind of the roles reversed a little bit, to see what my buddy Patrick sees, or hopefully what I imagine he sees and hears when I tell my stories, and something that I learn, and then I find out that I didn't learn it correctly, and he fills in the blanks, or corrects me, steers the boat right. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll leave it at that. The sun's coming back out. I got a nice little breeze there for a second. Forehead sweating. I think I'll go ahead and wrap this one up. But I would encourage you all just to start. You know, pick up the camera, pick up your cell phone, put it in pro mode, and mess with the shutter speed, the ISO. It's not going to show you the exact, but it'll give you the concept. Take a picture of a fan and change the shutter speed. A fan in motion, ceiling fan. Put it in motion and then stop it. You know, stop that still image in time. So when I look at that picture of her holding the camera, that it's so fun to think about. Like, yes, I'm telling a story, and the story now lives, but that photo reminds me of that whole day, and possibly getting somebody else into photography, feeling the regret, and then hopefully I'm gonna stay on her about it, encouraging her to pick up the camera, take more pictures, find out what she wants to take pictures of. You know, pretty cool, pretty damn cool. All right, that's enough. I gotta go. Go inside. Let's go inside. Come on.